The theme of this technical session is Trishiksha in Pali or Trishiksha in Sanskrit, namely the theory and practice for the lay audience. The chairman of this technical session is Dr. Dharmendra Porage. Dr. Dharmendra Porage is a global Buddhist activist and is also a committed trainer, lecturer, and educationist cum administrator with over 27 years of teaching experience at leading academic institutions, teaching students from various social and cultural backgrounds, possessing excellent administrative, verbal communication, and written skills, along with constructive and effective teaching methods that promote a stimulating learning environment. At present, Dr. Dharmendra is the chairman of Foundation for Buddhist Brotherhood and the president of Sri Lankan Tibetan Buddhist Brotherhood Society. He also serves as the Deputy Secretary General of the International Buddhist Confederation in New Delhi, India since 2017 up to now. Over to you, Dr. Dharmendra.
Namaskar, Ayubowan, Yashidilek. I wish you a very good afternoon. So we cordially welcome you to the International Conference of Trishiksha. So Trishiksha is a very important aspect in the Buddhist philosophy. So it means the three trainings: training in the higher mind, training in the higher virtue, and training in the higher wisdom. In other words, we call it Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna. So I don't want to go into details because there are many scholars waiting in this forum to give you detailed description or the teaching of this Trishiksha. So we have Venerable Dr. Divula Palace Vimalananda Thero from Sri Lanka, and Venerable Professor Bhikkhuni Chow Huai Chi from Taiwan, and Venerable Dagpo Sabjung Rinpoche. And also as discussants, we have Venerable Rusin and Dr. Buncha Onkapan and Mr. Mitro Bembia. So now, so we are going to start the first session. So first, we would like to cordially invite Venerable Dr. Divula Palace Vimalananda Thero from Sri Lanka. So Dr. Divula Palace Vimalananda Thero is a senior lecturer of Bhikshu University, Sri Lanka, which is one of the two main government universities in our country. So, and Dr. Divula Palace Vimalananda Thero has represented Sri Lanka in many Buddhist conferences and dialogues, and he has ample experience in this field to give you a good presentation on this. So I cordially invite Venerable Dr. Divula Palace Thero to start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good afternoon, all of you, and conference chair, and most venerable sirs, professors, doctors, and dear my Dhamma brothers and sisters. On these sessions, first of all, I would like to give my topic. My topic on first division of threefold training, morality, Sila. According to the teaching of Buddha, morality, virtue, or ethical conduct, in Pali we called as a Sila, is the first step of the threefold training, Tisikha or Trishiksha, known as Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, which leads being to the deliverance from the circle of suffering, samsara. The Noble Eightfold Path is grouped into three essential elements of Buddhist practice. Those are moral conduct, Sila, mental discipline, Samadhi, and wisdom, Panya. The 8 factors aim at promoting and perfecting the three essential of Buddhist training and discipline, namely ethical conduct, Sila, mental discipline, Samadhi, and wisdom, Panya. Ethical conduct is built on the vast conception of universal love and compassion for all living beings, on which the Buddha's teaching is based. Sila is adhering to certain precepts or ethical or moral conduct. Buddha was fully aware of the fact that one could not set rules and regulation for everybody in the same manner. Sila is a graduated thing, so that each person picks up that which he is able to follow for the present. Sila is one of those antidotes for this second cause of all our weaknesses. In ethical conduct, Sila, based on love and compassion, are included 3 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, namely right speech, Samma Vacha, right action, Samma Kammanta, and right livelihood, Samma Ajiva. As recorded in the Pali canon, the historical Buddha thought that right speech had 4 parts: abstain from false speech, do not tell lies or deceive, do not slander others or speak in a way that causes disharmony or enmity, abstain from rude, impolite, or abusive language, do not indulge in idle talk or gossip. When one abstains from these forms of wrong and harmful speech, one naturally has to speak the truth, has to use words that are friendly and benevolent, pleasant and gentle, meaningful and useful. One should not speak carelessly. Speech should be at the right time and place. If one cannot say something useful, one should keep noble silence. Right speech related to the 4 immeasurable: loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic, mudita, and equanimity, upekka. Surely, these are all qualities that can be nurtured through right speech. Right action or samma kammanta. Right action aims at promoting moral, honorable, and peaceful conduct. It admonishes us that we should abstain from destroying life, from stealing, from dishonest dealing, from illegitimate sexual intercourse, and that we should also help others to lead a peaceful and honorable life in the right way. Right livelihood or samma ajiva. Right livelihood means that one should abstain from making one's living through a professional that brings harm to others, such as trading in arms at lethal weapons, intoxicating drinks or poisons, killing animals, cheating, etc., and should live by a profession which is honorable, blameless, and innocent of harm to others. One can clearly see here that Buddhism is strongly opposed to any kind of war, when it lays down that trade in arms and lethal weapons is an evil and unjust means of livelihood. These 3 factors, right speech, right action, and right livelihood of the Eightfold Path constitute ethical conduct, Sila. It should be realized that Buddhist ethical and moral conduct aims at promoting a happy and harmonious life both for the individual and for society. This moral conduct is considered as the indispensable foundation for all higher spiritual attainments. No spiritual development is possible without this moral basis. There are numerous discourses that illustrated the role of morality, sila, in the Buddhist path of liberation. Of them, the Jata Sutta of the Sangyukta Nikaya and Visuddhimagga say, it is very famous for stanza, Sile Patittaya Narosa Panyo, Chittang Panyancha Bhavayang, Atapi Nipako Bhikkhu, Soimang Vijate Jatang. When a wise man establishes will in virtue, develop consciousness and understanding, then as a bhikkhu, ardent and sagacious, he succeeds in disentangling this tangle. According to this sutta, it is clear that morality, sila, is the basis of concentration and wisdom. Otherwise, it is the fundamental foundation of the Buddhist path of liberation. If someone wants to achieve the spiritual attainment, he has to fulfill morality first, and then he should proceed to cultivate concentration and insight in order. Then I would like to explain relationship between morality and mindfulness meditation. Morality, sila, is a basic or essential requisite of mindfulness meditation. However, examine the Bhikkhu Sutta of the Sangyukta Nikaya, describe the relationship between morality and mindfulness meditation. In this sutta, Buddha taught a certain bhikkhu who asked him to preach Dhamma in brief as follows: what is the strength point of wholesome states? Virtue that is well purified and view that is strained. Then bhikkhu, when your virtue is well purified and your view is strained based upon virtue, established upon virtue, you should develop the four establishment of mindfulness in the threefold way. In Pali, stanza say that ko chadi kusalanang dhammanang silancha suvisuddhang ditticha ujuka, etc. In the same way, in the Bahya Sutta and the Uttiya Sutta of the Sangyukta Nikaya, the Buddha instructed to cultivate satipatthana based on morality, sila and strength view. Hence, mindfulness meditation is dependent upon morality, sila and right view. To be perfect mindfulness meditation, first one need to cultivate morality, sila and right view to be perfect mindfulness meditation. First one need to cultivate morality, sila and right view, samadhi. Then he has to practice mindfulness meditation based on his purified morality and right view. Taking into consideration the above suttas, it is clear that mindfulness meditation requires not only purified morality, but also right view. Herein, according to the Chula Vedalla Sutta, the Noble Eightfold Path can be divided into three categories: the aggregate of morality, the aggregate of concentration, and the aggregate of wisdom. Of them, the aggregate of wisdom consists of right view. Hence, it can be seen here that, as Mahasatipatthana Sutta states, exertion, atapi, clear apprehension, sampajanya, and mindfulness, sati, are essential requisites of satipatthana, as well as morality, sila. The right view, wisdom, are also fundamental requisites of satipatthana. Thus, morality, the right view, support satipatthana to be a proper practice. However, although it is said that cultivation of insight or panya or satipatthana is dependent upon morality, actually they are mutually supportive. That is, say, a morally good person can cultivate insight well in the same way a person cultivating insight well can train his morality properly. In fact, regarding the cultivation of insight, panya, and morality, sila, are dependent upon each other. The Sonadanda Sutta of the Digha Nikaya says, wisdom is purified by morality, and morality is purified by wisdom. Where one is, the other is. The moral man has wisdom and the wise man has morality. And the combination of morality and wisdom is called the highest thing in the world. It is said that Sila paridotahi brahmana panya, panya paridotang silang. Yatta silang tatta panya, yatta panya tatta silang. Silavato panya, panyavato silang. Sila panyanancha panalokasming aggamakka yati. On the basis of the above discussions, it can be concluded here that morality is a fundamental factor as well as an essential requisite in the process of mindfulness meditation. In addition, since morality and insight, wisdom are dependent upon each other, they cannot be separated in the Buddhist path of liberation. Purifying morality. As morality is a fundamental factors or essential requisites, one who wants to practice meditation successfully needs to know how to purify his morality. As regards to this, the Visuddhimagga states the purification of morality in 4 categories as follows. The morality of observing the monastic precepts, Patimokka Sangvara Sila. Second one, the morality of pursuing a pure livelihood, Ajiva Parisuddha Sila. Third one, the morality of wisely using requisites, Pachaya Sannissita Sila. And last one, the morality of carefully restraining the sense, Indriya Sangvara Sila. These 4 kinds of purification of morality directly deal with monks. Some of them, such as the morality of pursuing a pure livelihood, carefully restraining the senses and keeping 5 or 8 precepts, deal with lay people. I would like to go my conclusion in this presentation. According to the threefold training, Tisikha, the moral precepts, Sila alone are not enough to lead a person to the highest level of practice. They only lead to other level of development, such as the practice of concentration, Samadhi. Samadhi, there is a goal of Sila, that is abstaining from and eliminating all inclinations towards evil makes and mind pure and clear. There is no confusion or worry left to distract or disturb the mind, and the mind is able to become focused easily. When the mind is peaceful and focused, a person becomes accomplished enough to apply wisdom, panya, investigate cause and effect, and create opportunities for performing beneficial acts as he goes alone. Thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Dulapalase Vimalananda Thero, for your wonderful presentation on the overview of theory and practice of Trishiksha, Pali tradition. So next, I would like to invite Venerable Professor Bhikkhuni Chao Huai Shi from Taiwan.
Yes.
And yes, she's going to give her presentation on the Shila Siksha across Buddhist heritages. She's representing Sanskrit tradition. We welcome you to the platform, Bhikkhuni.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, venerables, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to participate in this International Buddhist Conference on Trishiksha, and present my paper on the relevance of Buddhist ethics and monastic discipline. Because time is limited, I hope to express this paper more smoothly, so I ask Ms. Xiaoqing to translate my speech directly in English. Thank you very much. Okay. 首先呢，我要先跟大家很简短的讲一下，为什么伦理学通达了以后呢，戒律学才会通达？因为经常我们对于根源性的戒律理论不了解，我们会沦为教条主义， 而这个教条主义可能甚至于是违背原来的自戒精神，佛陀的自戒精神。
So first of all, I would like to study why ethics, as long as we understand ethics, it will lead to better understanding of precepts. Because if we are just interpreting precepts verbatim, then there would be a risk of falling into dogmatism.
所以呢，我如果从佛教伦理学的角度的研究呢，佛教的伦理呢，它的根源性的理论是缘起，也就是在因缘和合的世间。那么在这样的一个世间里面，我们要做什么？目标非常明显，就是life protection， 就是护生啊。那这个护生要做到什么程度？总不可能全世界的众生我们都保护得到，因此要有中道的智慧，也就是恰到好处的，就着自己所能做的因缘做到相对最好，这就是所谓的中道的智慧。那么所以呢，从这个缘起护生中道的脉络的伦理学，我们再来看戒律会比较清晰。
So if we are trying to study Buddhist ethics, its foundation actually established on dependent origination. And it is also very important to protect life and respect lives. However, to do that, we need to borrow the wisdom of middle way to make the relatively best choice without selfish intentions among the causes and conditions that we see, hear, sense, and know. So after having these three key ideas to respect and protecting lives and the middle way and dependent origination, then we have a good foundation to have a more in-depth research and study on ethics, Buddhist ethics.
至于说要用中道的智慧来权衡，来衡量每一件行为，我到底是做对了还是做错了，我该怎么做？那么这时候我们会发现到说，在我们的生活中，其实不太可能每一件事情我们都是在仔细的想清楚了所有的因缘，然后做相对最好的决定。因此，一般时候呢，我们会循着规范形成我们内在的道德习惯。于是佛陀制定了很多的规范，也就是所谓的 Sikshapada 啊。那这个 Sikshapada 呢，就是供我们知道说学需要在哪个地点、哪个处所学，所以佛陀安置了一些规范作为我们的学处。那么这其实就是让我们平时惯性反应的过中道的生活，除非遇到了比较特殊的问题、复杂的问题、两难的问题，我们再来仔细用伦理的角度去判断怎么样做才是相对比较好的。比如说，我们不会说谎，我们要正直，我们不可以迟到，我们不可以跟人家有乱的性关系，这个基本上已经不需要再做中道的判断，我们制约反应的，平时就会基本上会做到这样的一个行为。
And with the wisdom of middle way, we will know what's right and what's wrong and how to judge under different circumstances. However, in our daily life, it is impossible that we do this on every single detail. Therefore, it is very helpful to have principles to help us establish moral habits. Therefore, it's good to and important to understand Shikshapada because these are the principles that Buddha offers for us as guidance in our life. And these are precept trainings that we can remember in our mind. So if there's any circumstances in life, we can immediately apply these trainings. And for example, we all know that we should not lie, we should not be late, we should maintain integrity, and we should not have sexual misconduct. These are very clear principles that we can follow.
于是呢，就要再进一步问说，佛陀制定学处，他会说，因为我是佛陀，我是很有权威的人，你们必须要听我的，我的话就是真理吗？不是的，他会很理性的告诉我们，我为什么要制定这条戒律？因为有人犯规了，而这个犯规呢，有人打破了默契，这种打破默契的行为呢，其实会带来一些很不好的影响。那于是呢，我为了要达到10个目的，那这10个目的呢？才是我制戒律的根源。所以佛陀在每制一条戒律的时候，都一定会制定戒律的时候，都会讲到我是依于10个要项的理由，所以才制定这条戒律的。
And also there are 10 principles that Buddha uses to make these precepts. because Buddha never believes that because he is Buddha and he's always right and we should listen to him. Therefore, he always, according to 10 principles, he make more rules if the previous rules are broken.
Yeah, he never emphasized he is an authority. OK 啊，好，那所以呢，当佛陀在制定戒律的时候，他依了这十个原理，这10个原理可以归纳成，我的老师把它归纳成6个要项，也就是和合、安乐、清净、内证、外化跟令正法9住。和合要让僧团团结一致，但是这不能沦于口号，所以这个和合呢，一定要在见解相同，还有利益均分，还有没有特权的共同这个执行这样的规范。就是这样的一个前提下，也就是才可能见合、戒合跟利合，才能够达到身合、语合、意合，大家能够身语意都非常愉悦的共住，这就是和合的要件。那么就着这个和合要件，就建立了非常多的规范，这在 Vinaya 里面非常的多。
And based on these 10 principles that Buddha made for precepts, my teacher summarized them into 6 main values that are harmony, ease and happiness, purity, guiding others, self-attainment, and the ultimate goal. And for example, in harmony, the Sangha should be united and have shared value and interest. And then there will be harmonies for body, spirit, speech, and mind.
所以呢，这6项要件我们可以分析一下，和合、安乐、清净，这都是规范了整个团体的风气，还有个人的清净。那么再来呢，就是内证，就是自己能够修正而没有任何的障碍。外化就是往外弘法的时候不会产生障碍。那么所以大家就可以看得到说，佛陀制定戒律不是只是为我们这些比丘比丘尼自己的行为而已，他是希望我们的行为一来能够让我们的修道获得利益，减少障碍修道的因缘；二来呢，让整个僧团能够团结一致而安乐清净的产生总体的弘法的力量。那么第3个呢，就是要让这个世间就是这些社会人士，消极来说不要讥嫌我们、看不起我们、鄙视我们；积极来说，甚至于尊敬我们、尊重我们，看到我们的表现，相信佛法是有效的。而不是看到我们的表现就退避三舍，不想要相信佛法。
And based on these 6 values, we can see that for harmony, ease and happiness and purity, it actually helps to unite Sangha and also help to purify personal conduct. And therefore, based on these foundations, we will be able to guide others and offer Dharma teachings. And in ourselves, we have self-attainment. And these precepts are not only for bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, because for us, it is helpful for us to lower our hindrance to practice Dharma, and also to help to improve the harmony of our Sangha, and we can spread Dharma teaching in this world. And on the personal, on the level of Sangha, actually, it also helps the whole society in the more passive aspect to not look down on Buddhist practitioners, but in a more proactive aspect to respect us and our practice, and even probably will be interested in Buddhism.
所以呢，从这样的一个角度来看，我们不可能完全一成不变的奉行2600年前印度的农村社会里面的所有的 Vinaya 里面的细节，因为那是不合理的。很多甚至于会带来社会很多人的歧视跟问号，甚至于可能会产生我们内部的许多的不团结、不友好、不安乐、不清净的心情。这时就应该要扬弃它。那么这个佛陀也允许我们在不同的文化时代背景下，把一些不必要的规制，他所制定的规制就把它取消。那么另外一方面呢，我们也会遇到各个不同时代、不同社会里面需要增加的规则。比如说，我们今天能不能参加 Zoom 的会议呢？这个佛陀不可能帮我们指定。我们能不能上 Internet？ 我们能不能看电影？这佛陀不可能帮我们规范好。所以这些呢，就要看，要照着我们前面讲到的10种利益，
还有照着我们前面讲到的6种原理，还有照着我刚刚讲到的3大原则啊，让个人修道减除障道法，让僧团能够团结一致，还有让社会不要讥嫌我们。就着这3大原理去仔细盘整，我们应该要在增置什么规范，我们应该要调节什么规范，而不是一成不变，也不是从另外一端说啊那个都不重要，那个都是古代了，现在时代不一样，不要理它了。这2者一个是太重视，一个是太不重视，都不符合中道的智慧。
And so following this thought, we will know that it is impossible for us to follow every detail that was formulated in 2,600 years ago in the time of India and in an agriculture society. Because if we follow every detail that was made on the precepts that was made at that time, the society will have a lot of questions and sometimes may even discriminate us. Therefore, Buddha also gave us permission to stop following some of the precepts if it doesn't follow the spirit of the time and it doesn't fit the time or the circumstances anymore. And furthermore, there are some progress of modern society that didn't happen in Buddha's time. Therefore, it is impossible to ask Buddha where we can go on internet, or we can watch movie, or we can come to the Zoom conference. He could not have thought of those. And it will be useful to follow the 10 or 6 benefits that I have just mentioned, and also the 3 principles that I proposed. First is, does it bring peace and harmony on our personal level? Does it help our practice? And second, does it increase the harmony of Sangha? And the third, does it make the society not to look down on us and even could respect us? And following these principles, then we will have a standard to modify the precepts and the way we follow them.
所以总的依据来说呢，为什么要制定戒律？就是为了令正法久住。这是佛陀对舍利弗所说，舍利弗希望能够令正法久住，所以请佛陀制戒。那么令正法久住不是去抢宗教地盘，不是去引发宗教战争，征服全世界，成为佛教国度，而是要有正法留下一线生机，来护念众生，让众生能够因为正法的学习而离苦得乐。所以这也是来自护生的根源性原理。
So to sum up, actually the purpose of this is to make the sublime Dharma remain in this world. This is what Shariputra asked Buddha when he asked Buddha how we can make the sublime Dharma to remain in this world. And if we follow the precepts, then we can achieve the purpose of protecting and respect life, and also according to the principle of middle way.
好，所以我现在呢就举个例子，比如说用八敬法来规范女众，把女众压在男性的下面，让他们低比丘尼这个比丘尼低比丘尼等，这样的一个敬法一再强调是佛陀所制的。其实我从文献学的种种考据就证实，这是不可能佛陀在世的时候制定的，因为佛陀不可能在这些女众都还没有成为比丘尼，还没有犯规的情况下就制定戒律，因为佛陀制定戒律一定是随犯而治。
So I'm going to give an example with the 8 heavy rules. So actually 8 heavy rule was said to pass down and was formulated by Buddha, but it was impossible because for Buddha, whenever he formulated precepts, it should be based upon the occurrence of offenses. So when females have not become monastics, how come it was possible to already formulate the 8 heavy rules?
好，那这是从事实判断来讲。那再来呢，我们就从佛陀制定戒律的精神，我刚刚讲到令正法久住的精神，我们来检核一下。八敬法的本身呢，其实经常会让比丘或者比丘尼的心性都变得不健康、不正常，要么就是太过自卑自恋，要么就是太过自大狂。那么这些呢，都导致于比丘跟比丘尼两者之间在修道上都成为一种稳输的局面，对两者都并不有利的。这也就是说不护念我们修道人自己的生命。
So based on the above fact, actually we should return to the consideration that whether these rules will help to remain the sublime Dharma in this world. So actually the 8 heavy rules often causes bhikkhus and bhikkhunis to have whether low self-esteem or narcissistic qualities, and that become the hindrance of our practice, and it doesn't benefit bhikkhus or bhikkhunis.
而在僧团的和合来讲，很多的比丘呢凌驾在比丘尼之上，甚至于在这个僧团的资源的分配上，对于比丘尼来讲是，或者是那些尼众来讲是非常寒酸的。那么所以呢，这个不能够利合同均的团体是根本不可能和谐的。我曾经看到一个例子，就是有比丘拥有大禅堂，所以住持想要把原来的旧禅堂给比丘尼使用，结果比丘尼们群起抗议，不准这个禅师给这些比丘尼们使用旧的小禅堂。也就是说，自己吃香喝辣以后，连一口残羹剩饭都不给比丘尼吃。你说这样的僧团怎么可能和合而团结、安乐而清净呢？
So for many bhikkhus, because they follow the 8 heavy rules, so they actually feel more superior than the bhikkhunis, and there's a lack of equal distribution between resources. And if there's this kind of situation persists, actually it is impossible to reach the harmony of Sangha. For example, I have seen that there's an abbot in a monastery, and he had a new meditation hall. So after he had a new meditation hall, he wanted to give the old, smaller meditation hall to bhikkhunis. But then the bhikkhus in the monastery protested. They didn't want the bhikkhunis to have the smaller, older meditation hall. And that this is the example.
那么最后呢，我们再讲到说，他如何可能让社会接受我们佛教？当这个社会的整个的普世价值都已经重视性别平等的时候，只有佛教坚持女性比男性低下，只有佛教坚持女性不能成佛，只有佛教坚持比丘尼是下等的，那么甚至于还没有比丘尼存在。那么这样的话呢，这个社会的普遍的价值观跟佛教是抵触的，而且让社会更瞧不起佛教，远离佛教，也不相信佛法，这个对于令正法久住是非常强大的伤害。
And last, I want to bring your attention to how this situation does not help society to be in favor or even want to practice Buddhism. For example, gender equality is a norm in our society now, but when Buddhism still insists on that females cannot become Buddha, or bhikkhunis are more inferior than bhikkhus, and these kind of thoughts and situations, if it persists in our community, then not only the society will want to stay away from Buddhist community, nor would they be interested in practicing Buddhism. Then that does not fit our goal of prolonging the righteous Dharma in this world forever.
所以以上就是我跟大家所报告的，也就是假设我们没有办法回到伦理学的本身、护生跟令正法久住的基本原理来看待戒律的话，我们经常在教条主义之下其实是背叛了佛陀，也背叛了众生。
So this is what I would like to share with everyone today. To return to the ethics in Buddhism, we should always base on the idea of protecting and respecting life, and to think of how to keep the sublime Dharma remaining in this world forever. If we cannot do that, then we do not only betray Buddhism, but also betray the teaching of the Buddha.
谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Professor Bhikshu.
Yeah, 比丘尼高慧。
Chow. Very interesting. Thank you. It's a very interesting presentation, and she brought up some very interesting points to be discussed maybe in future. And also, let me add one thing before I introduce the next speaker, because she was coming up with the point that there is no female Bodhisattva or something like that, female Buddha or something like that. So in our folklore in Sri Lanka, we have one thing. So the Buddha in home, Buddha at home, the Buddha at home is the mother. So we have that in Sri Lankan culture that is there. So which is also very interesting for everybody to know. And now next we would like to invite as the scheduled speaker, Dr. Sarath Chandrasekhara is, we have been reported that he is not well. So we would like to invite to replace him. And his presentation is on the benefits of Samadhi. To replace his slot, we would like to invite again our Venerable Dr. Duality Vimalananda Thera. Namaskar.
Thank you, all of you again. Actually, again, I'm very much happy to speak for all of you about some brief introduction of benefits of Samadhi. In my main presentation going on morality sila, actually immediately according to the schedule, I have to replace for this topic. In here, I would like to explain briefly what is the Samadhi and what are the benefits of Samadhi, meditative concentration for the practitioner, according to the Pali tradition. What is the more important is that in Buddhism, all doctrines of the Dhamma are covered under the threefold training. The Tisikha, morality, sila, mental qualities, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. This training calls for discipline and practice to cultivate oneself in order to enable life to proceed to its goal, which is the complete extinction of suffering. So long as the goal is not reached, we cannot stop. Samadhi, being part of the process of the threefold training, has to be a means for us to advance to a higher state, not to soothe us and leave us basking in comfort. Samadhi for clear mind and cultivation of wisdom. The threefold training system gathers all important dhammas under one roof. These dhammas work together to proceed to the ultimate goal, the liberation from suffering. All dhammas in the system acts as factors and connect to each other in such a way that they follow the process of factor and effect. Thus, in Buddhism, every practice of Dhamma is part of process of the threefold training. Each Dhamma serves as a factor to condition, assist, or support the next one. If we practice Dhamma and we do not progress, that means something is wrong. This is an important rule that we use for evaluation. No matter which dhammas you choose, be they loving kindness, compassion, mindfulness, or concentration, they are all in the threefold training. When they are in the threefold training, they are in the process. That is to say, they are progressing towards the same goal. Every factor process passes its effect on to the next one in the system in one way or another. If we practice any one Dhamma and we stop without going on to the next one or are left floating in the air without a destination, we are on the wrong path. If when we practice Samadhi, it soothes us, leaves us inspired. we are lost in the calmness, stay there, and we are not led to the next step in the process. This is wrong practice. If we practice correctly, we will move forward to accomplish the desired result in the threefold training. Samadhi is a factor for what? As a general rule, Samadhi is a factor for wisdom. Samadhi makes the mind serene, clear, and powerful. The characteristic of the serene mind or a clear, powerful mind is that it is ready for work. The Buddha calls a mind that has Samadhi Kammaniyam. It is that characteristic of the mind that the Buddha wants us to have. As soon as the mind enters Samadhi, it attains the state of Kammaniyam. Kammaniyam means ready or appropriate for work. We have to make use of it. If when our mind attains Samadhi, we feel comfortable and become attached to the feeling, that means we have missed the whole point. What the Buddha wants is the state of mind that is Kammaniyam and to make use of it, not for you to just sit back and relax. When you have Samadhi, if you just sit back and enjoy it, that means you are not doing the right thing. What work should such a mind do then? The threefold training consists of morality, concentration, and wisdom. Concentration or Samadhi gives support to wisdom. Therefore, it is to be used to cultivate wisdom. This is the second benefit that I mentioned here. The most significant characteristic of the mind is here a clear mind. Without anything to muddle or disturb it, it can be fully used to cultivate wisdom. When we work on something, the more delicate and profound the subject is, the more solid mind we need. When the task is not so detailed, we do not need wisdom that much. In whatever we do, even when we listening to the teacher, if we do not have Samadhi at all, we will not understand. Wisdom will not be developed. Therefore, wisdom can only work with the support of a concentrated mind. How concentrated a mind we need depend on the task at hand. We have come to the conclusion that in Buddhism, the benefit of Samadhi that we want to attain is the one of making the mind ready for work. The important task of such a mind is to cultivate wisdom. Wisdom to know, to understand the truth of everything, to the point of understanding the truth of nature. And what is this truth of nature? It is to know things as they are. It is this ability to know the truth of all things that we want. If we do not know up to this point, we still have defilements. Therefore, Samadhi has to be connected with wisdom. So far, what I would like to point out is that even on the subject of Samadhi, we have to be careful. If we do not understand the principles in Buddhism clearly, we can go off the track. For as we have already seen from above, each of the three kinds of benefits to be acquired from Samadhi has its own use. Let us now summarize what has been discussed so far, namely the three principles, qualities, or benefits of Samadhi. First one, Samadhi makes the mind steadfast and energy is produced as a result. This mental energy can be used to produce miracle and marvels. Second one, Samadhi makes the mind clear, enable it to see things with clarity. This is favorable to wisdom. Third one, Samadhi makes the mind tranquil and bring forth happiness. In today's society, mental problems caused by the menaces of materialism are prevalent. To find an alternative, people resort to Samadhi for happiness. This benefit however, is not the goal in Buddhism. Thank you very much. I give in brief introduction and what are the benefits of Samadhi. Thank you very much giving this opportunity for me.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Divula Palase Vimalananda Thero, for your introduction on Samadhi. And as time is running fast, we will go to our next presenter, Rinpoche. He is going to talk about benefits of prajna or wisdom, prajna practice. So we invite Venerable Tagpo Shabdrung Rinpoche, representing Tibetan and Sanskrit tradition. So Rinpoche, we welcome you to the platform.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so my most respect to every lecturer here and doctors, professors. So today I'm going to touch a subject about wisdom, which is prajna in Sanskrit. So if I just jump into the subject, the word wisdom is overused these days, mostly known as having information. These days, they think that the wisdom is something like having information about something. That's the wisdom. That's what they think. But this is not a complete meaning of wisdom in the Buddhist philosophy, because the word having knowledge or having information encompasses all levels, such as how do I drive my car, up to such as what is the true nature of reality. So it is a very broad term to use. The knowledge might not necessarily clear away or expel the wrong ideas or ignorance. Whereas in philosophical sense, the most important characteristic of wisdom is to expel the ignorance. For example, unless I eat sweets, I would never know what sweet tastes like. Even my mom told me it tastes sweet. So generally speaking, any analytical mind with capability to distinguish between truth and false can refer as a wisdom. And exceptionally in Mahayana sense, wisdom is seeing true nature of reality, which exactly means seeing things as they are, not as they appear to us. Generally, the reality is emptiness, as we know, and emptiness might not be the most difficult teaching of teaching of Buddha, but it definitely is the most misunderstood one. So I would like to take this opportunity to clear away the misunderstanding about emptiness. I'll try my best. So in Mahayana, wisdom or prajna is highly emphasized in the perfection of wisdom, prajna paramita. It is important not to misunderstand the meaning of emptiness as a negation of existence, because Mahayana texts never meant to say that nothing exists, even though sometimes it sounds like one. It says that nothing exists independently. That's the real meaning. In a layman term, every phenomenon varies or alter depending on each individual experience. They are conditional, which means they are not independent. If the meaning of emptiness is nothing, if the meaning of emptiness is like zero, it means Buddha found nothing. But that's not true, because he found something, right? Buddha found the truth. So instead of saying Buddha found nothing, we should say Buddha found nothing real. That's the truth. That's the nirvana. That's the bliss. But there's lots of, how to say, a gray area, maybe. But Buddha has said many times that the form is emptiness and emptiness is form. And that is the truth, he said. But it seems extremely contradictory. What he actually was saying that leave the existence as it is. Don't grasp. Have no dualistic perception. If we have no grasping, everything is reality, and reality is everything. That what he meant by saying form is emptiness and emptiness is form. The Madhyamikan teachers asserts that the moment we start grasping something, we create its opposite. For example, left only has meaning if there was a right, right? So when we grasp emptiness, let's say if we grasp emptiness, we actually create the idea of existence, non-emptiness. So it is a dualistic mind. Even we grasp emptiness as a truth, which is wrong. So we cannot grasp. That's the problem. So in Abhidharma Kosha, Vasubandhu said, karma produce all these creations, right? So for example, when two people look at the moon, it seems that these two people are looking at same moon, but they are not seeing the same moon. And the logic or reason is as following. They both are seeing a moon because of their collective karma, right? They both are seeing a moon because of their collective karma to see a moon. But due to their own individual karma, as we say karma, there is a like collective karma and individual karma, right? So due to their own individual karma, the moon they are seeing is their own karmic creation, not a moon which is absolutely existing externally. So because karma means what make things happen in our life, those moons were actually created by the individual, respectively individual karma. So it's mean that moon is not exist externally, but it is extremely conditional to the to these two persons who possess that kind of specific karma. So primary causes of all universe is our own karma. So point is, when things have different causes and condition, the result can be the same. That's the reality. That's the law of nature. So this statement brings forth the fact that every phenomena is our own mental projection, which is fueled by karmic conditions. For example, like a projector machine projecting a movie on its screen, it's something like that. So projector is like a mind, and the power, or let's say electricity, is like a karma, and movie is the universe, right? So any existence doesn't have intrinsic nature, but primarily rely on karma to allow our mind to project the existence or project the universe. So Chandrakriti says in Madhyamika Avatara, a spot, this is a very famous example, a spot, a place where there is a water, depending on their own karma. God sees nectar, human sees water, and preta or hunger ghosts see pus, right? Blood and pus. So the point is to say neither there was nectar nor there was water or pus. So existence of any object was conditional and relative. It was totally dependent on what that person, what a god, what a human, what a hunger ghost are conditioned to see there. So existence of any object was conditional and relative, and the famous term illusion. So even Buddha Dharma, Sangha are illusion, relative and conditional. So in Bodhicitta Avatara, chapter 9, question was raised. If all path, if Buddha, Dharma, Sangha and path is illusion, it seems very useless to do all these practices. And Shantideva responded by saying, doing a practice which is illusionary will bear a fruit which is also illusionary. And that is more than enough for us. Basically, the meaning of this is, in this world of illusion, we are not awakened, right? We are like dreaming. So since we are dreaming, we might as well have a good and healthy dream. That's what he meant. Shantideva also said, in order to eliminate the suffering, we should not ignore the existence of Buddha. So it is okay to grasp Buddha for time being, but eventually we will have to release all grasping, because that's the source of all problem, dualistic mind. Wisdom, or the prajna, is one of the 6 perfections, and other 5 are the perfection of generosity, perfection of morality, patience, joy in learning, and concentration or meditation, whatever you want to say. Wisdom is said to contain all the others' perfections, all the 5 perfections. It contains all the 5 perfections. It comes with a whole package. So Shantideva said, all practices, all these practices, like practices of generosity, morality, patience, joy in learning, meditation, were taught by a mighty one, the Buddha, for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, those who wish to pacify this suffering must generate this wisdom, right? And one of the most important things for us to understand is that to be a joyful human, to have a wonderful life, to have a peaceful life, we don't need this perfection of wisdom, thing. We don't need this kind of perfection practices. The suffering, this perfection of wisdom brings to an end is not a suffering of, let's say, headache, broken heart, bad stomach. That's not what not the Mahayana text mean by saying suffering, because most of the people think, oh, if you do all those study practices, there will be no suffering, so I won't have any headache, no broken heart. Like, but by the suffering, the Shantideva or any Mahayana teacher never didn't meant these our worldly sufferings, right? But the suffering of being conditioned. Now, this is the real suffering that Mahayana great master were concerned about, the suffering of being conditioned. Free oneself from a trap of time, the suffering of time, the suffering of change. So whenever we free oneself from trap of time, trap of change, that's the nirvana. That's the enlightenment. So dualistic is not a nature of our mind. This is very important for us to understand. I mean, of course you guys understand, but lots of lay people, beginners, for them, I'm just trying my best to explain this thing. So dualistic is not a nature of our mind, which means it can be removed. Dualistic mind, right? It can be removed. So whenever we remove all those dualistic mind, there is no insecurity. There's no loneliness. There's no, let's say, confusion. There's no obsession. Yes. So when dualistic mind is removed from our mind, it is nothing like the mind we have known for. The mind that we think it is nothing like that, because our mind is deluded by dualistic perceptions. Our path to enlightenment is a process of unloading all this dualistic mind. That's how we get enlightened. So path to enlightenment is not adding more recollections, adding more into your recollections. No. So basically, enlightenment we seek is something that we possesses all the time. That's the enlightenment. Something that we have for a long time. So we can say that unknowingly, we all are Buddhas. We can say that. So at the end, the benefit of wisdom, I'll try my best to keep it short. So allow me to put it in a very simple way. In this current modern era, we are extremely exposed, to have a mood swing, a good mood, bad mood, and delusions. In this age of technology, we increasingly seek other people through digital forms of communication, like Twitter, like Tinder, like IG, where there's no person physically present with us, right? So there's no one. It makes us feel safe, gives a sense of security by not having to face anyone, right? Not having to deal with anyone. Normally, basically, but in fact, what we are doing is hiding behind the screen and experience the cyber love, cyber friendship, which seems to be very fabricated, which seems to be very fake. Whereas we can actually go out and explore and experience the real love and relationship. We can do that, but still we choose to stay behind the screen and hide oneself up and don't want to deal with anyone, right? So, but does it do anything good to us? No. As a result, we always have an underlying feeling of dissatisfaction and anxiety when there is nothing flashy, when there is nothing special. How to say? Especially when we have nothing distracting us from the present moment. We experience the basic state of existence, our normal life, as a boring, as a lonely, as uncomfortable life, very confused, and also very misunderstood, right? And this is the outcome of hiding oneself from reality. Now, when we don't have a wisdom, that's what we do. We hide ourselves. We don't have gut to face the challenge. We don't have gut to face the problem, right? That's what we do. There's a lack of wisdom. There's a problem of lacking wisdom, right? So these are the opposite of what wisdom brings in our life, right? But so in short, having wisdom is understanding the situation and fixing it. That's what wisdom does. So I think that's about it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. So Rinpoche came up with some very interesting points, which is very much relevant to the modern days. So thank you, Rinpoche, for your wonderful presentation. And next, we have come to the discussions. So our first discussion will be Venerable Ru Singh from Malaysia.
Okay, good afternoon to the chairperson, the presenters, and the fellow audiences. I'm reaching here from Fukangshan, Malaysia, as the discussion for Venerable Dr. Vimala Nanda. After reading his synopsis, I'm particularly touched and couldn't agree more with the following statement. The ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom is built on the vast conception of universal love and compassion for all living beings on which the Buddha's teaching is based. So I think this is the first and the most important understanding that we all must have. If the three trainings are not built upon the ultimate reason of universal love and compassion, the three training will become rigid dogmas and rules for the fellow Buddhists to follow. Take for the example of changing monastic robes from a robe that drapes over the body, leaving the right shoulder to bare, as what being worn by the Theravadan tradition monk, to an austere robes with a simple cloth collar suspended around necks in Mahayana Buddhism. The changes is due to the geographical, cultural, and climate differences. So these changes reflect the ability to understand the ultimate goal of universal love and compassion when it comes to the Sila trainings. So hence the true meaning of upholding the precepts start from not violating others to elevating and protecting all sentient beings. From Venerable Doctor's synopsis, I would like to quote another example of the common practices in Southeast Asia, where a lot of devotees, they like to free the lives of animals and saving their lives that are caged or destined for slaughters. So such practice can be perceived as the extension of not killing. This is the extension from the precepts of non-killing, but attaching to the action of releasing life with the hope to gain more merits. In engaging such action, you will create more problems if one is not realizing the ultimate goal of universal love and compassion for all living beings. So the act of releasing life without taking other factors into consideration may cause harm to other beings. So actually, it is increasingly recognized that the animal release has the potential for negative environmental impact, including as a pathway for the introduction of the invasive species into non-native environments. These may lead to biodiversity loss over time. For example, the competition from American red-eared slider turtles released in China's lake have been reported to cause death of native turtles. So further, some animals are captured for the explicit purpose of being released, or they are released into the environment where they are unable to survive. So before I move on further, I would like to show you the YouTube video that I prepared. So can the technician staff allow everyone to watch this, not very long, but 1 minute and 22 seconds videos to everyone.
像景美溪来讲哦，在大概民国70几年的时候，琵琶属的这个族群数量，大概只占那个地方的生物的所有鱼类的大概不到1%。但是到90年代，就是现在根据我们调查的记录来讲，它其实它已经占景美溪的鱼类的总数量的大概40%左右。所以也就是说，景美溪现在鱼类里面大概快有一半是琵琶属。这个就是什么？这就是一个很典型的取代了。它把一些原生的鱼类给取代掉了。
话说20几年前呢，有一次我们在一个大的活动当中，那一次因为佛光山有建放生池，那当时候就有人拿乌龟啊，拿鱼来放生。那一次就发现说，鱼呢就被乌龟吃了，乌龟呢就会弄得整个水池很多的鱼类呢生命没有保障，因为其实每一种动物它都有它生活的空间。如果我们特别去花钱买来做这种仪式，看起来是满足我们自己要种植福德因缘的心情，其实对动物啊是一种伤害。所以我们从那时候就再也没有办放生的仪式。大师就曾经说过，爱护动物就是在放生，甚至我们对于自己的生命的珍惜也是在放生。
Here, thank you very much. So actually, from the above YouTube video, we can see that actually, if we are just following the rules and regulation or the precepts being set by the Buddhas and just follow without putting any consideration, then actually the action itself is causing harm and good. So next, I would like to echo the point illustrated by Venerable that he said the morality is the basis or essential requisite for mindfulness meditation. So take a look at the Devadatta, the cousin of the Buddha. He becomes frustrated when he failed to progress towards an arhat. So he focused his Samadhi training towards developing supernatural power. So instead of the realization of enlightenment, he used it to gain his own fame, and he tried very hard wanting to replace the place of the Buddha. So as what we can see from some sutras, he lost the supernatural power which he gained from the Samadhi training because he gave rise to the ill intention of replacing Buddha in the Sangha order. So this is a vivid example on how not observing precepts and without the right understanding will make you progress into the next level. Rather, it brings you down from the present state of cultivation. And at the end, we all know that Devadatta fails into the hell because of his severe evil karma committed from repeatedly harming the Buddha. So the above 2 points is what I would like to bring some reflections upon looking at the synopsis itself, and I hope everyone will benefit from the thesis of Venerable Doctors. Thank you very much.
Dr. Dhamendra, I think we are supposed to finish the three
Okay.
discussions first. Yeah.
Right. So then we will have next one, discussion number 2, reflection on presentation 2 and 4. We invite Dr. Buncha. Dr. Buncha, over to you.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Chairpersons. May I firstly homage to the Lord of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sankharatana, as well as to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, great venerables, venerable master, colleagues and friends, Buddhists and all. And also thank for this marvelous moment of the international conference between all Buddhists in both Pali and Sanskrit tradition. From every Jhana, traditional, modern, postmodern, and even coming post-COVID-19 new normal that we go through. My reflection on these 2 great presentations on the principle of Atisila Sikha by Venerable Professor Piksuni Chawesi from Taiwan, and on the benefit of Prajna or wisdom by Venerable Dakpo Chapdrung Rinpoche from Tibet. For myself, as a lay servant serving at Buddhadasa Intapanyo Archive in Thailand, our master, most venerable Buddhadasa Intapanyo, has described in his handbook for mankind on this threefold training, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, which we all now are following and sharing. Our master Buddhadasa Intapanyo mentioned that Trishiksha are as a tools or programs to train, to control, and to cultivate our mind. Tisikha and Tisikha should work together quite naturally and hardly to be apart. Since Samadhi Panya support each other harmoniously, he mentioned that we can study and commit the 3 separately, but where practice is concerned, they can't be apart, can be separate, because if they are, practice will fail completely. So according to Venerable Professor Piksuni Chawesi presentation, mentioned on 3 categories of principle of forming precepts. Firstly, to ensure purity of individual, etc. Secondly, to ensure the peacefulness, happiness, and purity of the Sangha, etc. And thirdly, to avoid criticism of worldly people. And also, according to 10 benefits or 10 meanings or 10 principles of Vinaya or Dhammakupta Vinaya, as well as venerable regards to the holiness Mahakasyapa management in the first assembly or first Sankhayana, and conclude the collective decision to include what we call minor precepts, which set our Buddhist standard then. Now, 3 millennium prevails, benefits, modify, and adapt through space and time till now. In this broader, more connected, with rapid change and very complex and challenging worldly globe now. I do appreciate what Venerable Professor Piksuni mentioned on her opinion of modification and adaptation, because we already adapt and modify for 3 millennium already. And according to the circumstance, but for the 3 great blind spots, Venerable Professor Piksuni mentioned, and others, example on Bhiksu and Bhikshuni and precepts, I think that many more concern and consideration should be cared and also further sharing among us. According to His Holiness the Dalai Lama newly works with Venerable Bhikshuni to 10 children. In Buddhism, one teaches many traditions. I learned more of not only Sila Shikha in Trishiksha, on Patimokkha Sila, Bodhisattva Sila, and Tantra Sila, as well as Sila for the ordained, for Upasaka, and even Upavas. As well as I also learned that there is several levels of individual in training of this Tisikha. We learn Theravada Vinaya, Dhammakupta Vinaya, and Murasa Savasatiwatin Vinaya. So let's share together, exchange together for this challenging time. According to Venerable Dakpo Shabdrung Rinpoche presentation on Prajna or wisdom, for my own reflection, it confirmed me of all of these as the marvelous of Buddhism for all mankind. It's not only just information in the living CPU in my skull, and also not only the knowledge in the brain, but Buddhism, Lord Buddha gives us the wisdom of the mind for us all. Thank you for all your contribution and attention. That is all of my reflection. Thank you.
Next, thank you, Dr. Bunjar. Thank you very much. The last discussion will be discussion 3, reflection on presentation 3. He's from Russia, Mitrio Bemcha. Am I right?
Yes, right. Thank you.
Okay. So over to you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to greet all the members of Sangha and Dharma friends. And I would like to say a couple of words about the presentation of Venerable Dr. Duality Vilamananda. And first of all, I would like to thank Venerable Doctor for a very clear and profound explanation of Shila. And listening to the first speaker, Dr. Vimalananda, one can see that Buddhist teaching in Pali and Sanskrit tradition are quite close in word and meaning in regard to Trishiksha, or three educations or three higher trainings, how they translate it sometimes. And it's very true, so that in order to practice prajna, it's necessary to practice samadhi, because prajna is dependent on samadhi, and samadhi in its own turn based on shila. So Eightfold Noble Path is very important for the practice of Trishiksha, for the practice of the higher trainings. In order to cultivate samadhi, one practices for smriti upasthana, or so-called the establishments, or for mindfulness. It's establishment of kaya smriti upasthana, or body mindfulness, vedana smriti upasthana, or feeling mindfulness, chitta smriti upasthana, or mindfulness of, so to say, consciousness, and dharma smriti upasthana, or mindfulness of dharma. And so Eightfold Path of Ashtanga Marga is crucial for the practice of Trishiksha, or practice of three higher trainings or educations. And also in this context, we talk about four immeasurables, and they are also present in Sanskrit tradition, Chatvarya Aparamanani. And so in the same way, it is very in Sanskrit tradition, it is said that it's very important to follow different levels of pratimoksha vows, like pratimoksha vows for monks and pratimoksha vows for lay people. And this foundation of pratimoksha vows is foundation for the practice of samadhi, because if your mind is not stable, if it's not peaceful and wholesome, you will not be able to obtain samadhi. So lay people who practice samadhi, would like to practice samadhi, need to practice shila, and practice of shila means abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, intoxicating substances. So 5 precepts of upasaka and upasika. And now I would like to, in very short, without much detail, talk about samadhi cultivation in Sanskrit tradition. So samadhi cultivation in Sanskrit tradition comes from sutras of Buddha, and also this explanation is based on the commentaries or treatises of Indian Buddhist scholars. So from among the three special trainings, or Trishiksha, the second is training in meditative stabilization. The mind's abiding one-pointedly without distraction on any virtuous object is called meditative stabilization, or samadhi. Independence upon cultivating in the actual concentrations, or jhana, what in Pali is jhana, are four formless meditative absorptions, or arupa samapati, are attained. And when its cultivation is complete, it finally becomes the perfection of concentration, what in Sanskrit you call Jhana Paramita. When meditation stabilization is divided in terms of entity, there are two types, mundane and supramundane. In order to achieve this, one must initially create calm abiding, what we call in Sanskrit shamatha, in the mental continuum. Then one must create special insight, or vipassana. And at that point, one has created a meditative stabilization that is a union on shamatha and vipassana. So you need to, the aim is to obtain this union of shamatha vipassana in Pali. The reason why shamatha must be cultivated first is that all qualities are effects of stabilization of analytical meditation. When shamatha has been achieved, all analytical meditations are, as well as all virtuous qualities, have great power, because the mind is engaged in its own object of observation without being distracted to anything else. So in order to obtain this stabilization, we need to practice shamatha, and in order to get insight, or panya, prajna, we need to practice vipassana, which is based on shamatha. In order to cultivate shamatha, one must abandon 5 faults and utilize the 8 antidotes. And 5 faults are laziness, forgetfulness, the mind falling under the influence of laxity or excitement, not making use of antidotes, and over-applying antidotes. So one should meditate within utilizing the 8 antidotes. Regarding how to implement the 8 antidotes that abandon these faults of meditation, the first of these faults is laziness, and it has 4 antidotes out of 8, and the others each have 1. So all in all, it's 8 antidotes. The 4 antidotes to laziness are faith, aspiration, effort, and pliancy. The antidote to the second fault, forgetfulness, is mindfulness. The antidote to the third, laxity and excitement, is introspection. The antidote to the fourth, not applying the antidote, is intention of application. And the antidote to the fifth, over applying the antidote, is equanimity, to leave the mind naturally. And then progress through the 9 mental abiding happens. And here we utilize 6 powers and 4 mental engagements in order to obtain this level of shamatha. And 9 mental abidings are explained in the treatises of Indian scholars, and they are first is setting the mind, or chitta sthapana. So the second is continuous setting, samsthapana. Third is resetting, avasthapana. Fourth is close setting, upasthapana. Fifth is disciplining, it's dhamana. Sixth is specifying, is shamana. And seventh is thorough pacifying, is vyupashamana. And the 8th is making the mind one-pointed, is ekvatikarana. And the last one is sitting in equipoise, it's samadhana. So in order to obtain these levels, or so-called 9 mental abidings leading to the shamatha, one needs to use 6 powers. And the first power is power of hearing, or shruta. The second is power of thinking, or chinta. The third is power of mindfulness, or smriti. The fourth is power of introspection, or samprajanya. The fifth is power of effort, or virya. And the sixth is the power of familiarity, or parichaya. So the 4 at the same time, you need to use or utilize 4 mental engagements. And this is forcible engagement, or balavahana, interrupted engagement, or satchidravahana, uninterrupted engagement, or nischitravahana, and effortless engagement, anabhogavahana. And using all of these powers and engagements, eventually one achieves calm abiding, or shamatha, which is included within the preparation for the first concentration, or first jhana. So this way, in Sanskrit tradition, it is explained that we need to practice three Trishiksha, and the main one is the base for all of the other ones is Shila Shiksha. So this is foundation. And on that foundation, you cultivate Samadhi, and by the force of Samadhi, you attain Prajna. And there is no other way around. And in order to obtain Samadhi, you need to practice all the things that were mentioned before. You need to calm your mind. You need to remove all the faults that do not allow you to practice Samadhi. And in order to do that, you need to use antidotes and powers. So this way, it is explained in the Sanskrit tradition how you obtain Samadhi. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Mitrail Bemja. Yes, thank you very much. And now, next we have come to our Q&A session. We have lots of questions, right? I don't know how we can manage time with these questions. Brother Peck, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Lamenda.
So can we let the
question themselves. I think it's because there are a lot of questions. It's quite difficult to go through everybody, and it's quite difficult for the camera to zoom in on each particular one.
So can we post the questions to the presenters?
Okay. Do you want me to read the question, or would you like to read the question?
Please, you can read.
Okay. I will try to read the questions from the from those who asked earlier. Yeah. There are too many. I'm sure we are not able to cover all. Okay. The first person that I would like to read is from Dr. Christy Chang. She mentioned that in the example story given by Venerable Professor Chao Hui Shi just now, she also mentioned what's frustrating and saddening is that the Venerable Bhikshus in the story actually protested against the smaller hall being reserved for the Bhikshuni, even after they were given the big new hall already. Alas, I think that really is the saddest part. It makes us wonder how this could have happened in the Sangha, who are leading practitioners practicing the 3 trainings. I also wonder what happened to the end of the story later on. Professor Bhikshuni, do you want to respond to this?
那你要跟我想想，不爱江山爱美人去。Okay, it's okay.
Yes.
We'll answer. Yeah. 好 ，OK. Thank you, Chrissy. 我还是要讲一下这个结局，就是这位禅师很慈悲，他把那个小的旧的禅堂坚持还是要给这些尼师们，不是比丘尼，他们是夏雷啊。那结果呢，这些比丘们，尤其是华人比丘，在那边去参学的华人比丘，人家缅甸比丘还很尊敬禅师，不敢非议。这些华人比丘竟然就声称在背后讲禅师坏话，说他不爱江山爱美人。那这个对于禅师来讲是一个大修行的禅师来讲是一个非常重大的羞辱，所以我才会说，八敬法的实施经常会让那些男性自傲自大，魔性大发。你想想看，对自己的一个恩师可以用这样的方式来诋毁，那这个是对法身慧命的一个滋长的恩师可以这样诋毁，就是可以看得到，其实呢，八敬法时的男性跟女性的修道人都在沉沦堕落。
So in response to your question, I would like to say that the ending of the what happened there was that the meditation master insists in giving the smaller, older meditation hall to those chalet. And chalet, they are lay practitioners who observe 10 precepts. So they are not even bhikshunis. And out of respect to their teachers, the local Burmese bhikkhus, they respect their teacher's decision. But some Chinese-speaking bhikkhus who are visiting and learning meditation from the master there are talking behind him about this decision and think that he is in favor of beautiful women rather than important things. So this is kind of an insult to such a respectful big meditation master. So from this example, we can see that the existence of the 8 heavy rules actually make both bhikkhu and bhikkhunis have improper mindset. Some of them become arrogant and self-important, and some of them have low self-esteem. So that actually the existence of these rules does not help male or female practitioners, bhikshus or bhikshunis.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Dharmendra, shall I ask the next question?
Yes, please go ahead with the next question.
I among the many questions, I thought the next one from Indonesia, Erika from Indonesia. She has a question. This question is for Venerable Dakpo Rinpoche. She says, as mentioned about adventitious stains, we said could be removed because it is not our true nature. So what is the method for remove these adventitious stains? As in Uttara Tantra Shastra said that Buddha nature is our primordial nature. If it is our true and primordial nature, Buddhahood is permanent, steadfast, and immutable, possessing all the unpolluted Buddha qualities. How is it possible being obscured? If it's permanent, then I guess it's against Buddha's teaching impermanence, isn't it?
So first of all, right, the word permanent is also very confusing because sometimes permanent and impermanent, right? But in this term, when we use for the nature of mind or reality or wisdom, we also use a permanent word, which is English, right? But in Tibetan, we also use a tapatamba. It's not exactly a permanent, but it's more like a pure permanent, right? So because if the true nature is a permanent, it's mean, as I say, if we say is a permanent, then opposite of permanent is impermanent, right? So there has to be impermanent because both big exists only because of there's a small, right? There's a left, that's why there's a left, right. So the permanent, when we in those the shastras, when they talk about the permanent, especially regarding the wisdom and reality, they're not talking about the permanent of permanent and impermanent permanent. What they're actually talking about is pure permanent, which is actually emptiness, nothing else, which is reality, right?
Hello?
So,
Hello? Hello? Hello?
So yeah, then the second question.
Rinpoche, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Then the second question is how to remove those stains, right? Is it removing stain? Actually, I mean, it can be a very long answer, but as we say, we have to practice, and especially removing the dualistic mind. Now, this is a very big thing, right? Because this is like all the way opposite of how we live our life. Without dualistic mind, we cannot live. And for that, I want to bring an example. For example, there's a bodhicitta, right? There's a relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, right? So relative bodhicitta we can do, to wish to be enlightened for sake of all sentient beings, for their happiness. We can achieve that. We can wish, right? That's what we can do. And the ultimate bodhicitta is very difficult, which is actually a wisdom itself, understanding of reality, that we cannot do. But the thing that, right, even though we cannot do it, but we can try. There's a thing called, fake it until you make it, right? So even though right now we cannot understand the reality, the non-dualistic emptiness, we don't know anything about it because that's not how it really works in our life, to be honest, right? But for the sake of enlightenment, for the sake of every sentient being's happiness, we need to get enlightened, and for that we need that wisdom. So even though right now it doesn't make very sense to us, but we can wish for it and try to fake, that every this existence, this emptiness, at least things once a day. So that's what I'm saying. Fake it until you make it. So this can be a way to remove the stain, but the stain itself is nothing more than, there's a two kind of stain. First one is our very raw stain, which is our defilement. Let's say our anger, our hatred, anger, desire, ignorance, right? Those are very raw one. Those are very coarse one. Those hatred and all those things can be removed by doing mind training, which is quite simple one, right? But it still takes a lot of time because it becomes our habit. And to destroy our habit, we need to create a counter habit so we can destroy that habit, right? So it depends on you, what kind of person you are. Can you really adopt that kind of habit as soon as possible? As soon as possible, you can adopt that kind of habit, you will definitely get rid of those anger, hatred, and desire, everything, right? But the real deal is the stain that left by those anger, desire, those attachment, the stain. For example, we use the example. I think you know about it. You know about this example. When we leave a very smelly very good smelling flower in a box, right? Even though we remove that, we remove that flower, there's still a smell left in the box because of presence of that flower. So that smell, that stain is the real deal. We call it pakcha, the small one. So for that, we have to, do meditations, all those stuff. It will take time. But as I say, what will remove those stains is a wisdom. And wisdom means when those things, let's say, when right now we can talk about non-duality and everybody say, yes, everything is non-duality, emptiness. I understood. But there will be a time when it become your habit. And when someone say everything is emptiness, and it become very normal to you, right? When the concept of emptiness, whenever someone hits you and you think, oh, it doesn't exist, it's my own, impure vision. When that vision becomes normal to you, that's the wisdom. At that very moment, you will be able to remove all those stains. But it will take time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Yes, next question, please. I think next question is to Venerable Dr. Dula Palese. Okay, Bro Peck, you can go ahead with the question, please.
I would like to invite, we would like to invite Brother B.M. Khanna, Khanna. Can you spotlight him? Technical team, can you spotlight him?
Brother Khanna, can you ask your question, please?
Can you ask your question? Unmute. Please unmute. Please unmute. You know how to unmute? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
My question is very clear. As you advance in meditation and in Samadhi, the mind becomes very sharp and coupled with Panya. You can see the true nature of reality, that is Yatha Bhutanana Dasanam, as he says. Then you have that disenchantment, then you have that, Virag and Vimutti Nana Dasanam. What is the role of four jhanas, which I am not very clear? And I want Dr. Devanu Prase to certainly explain to me as to what are these four jhanas and what part they play in finally Vimutti and Vimutti Nana Dasanam.
Actually, developing the concentration mind, every meditator reach the jhana level. According to our traditions, the jhana in Buddhism is a walk by the Buddha's word, that the jhana are the footstep of the Tathagata, indicating the important role these meditative states have in the path to nirvana. The Buddha discussed and explained the nature of jhana many times in the Pali canon, and a great deal of the post-canonical Theravada Buddhist texts. Considering the Visuddhimagga, path of purification, describe it as an abiding in which the mind becomes fully immersed and absorbed in the chosen object of attention, characterized by non-dual consciousness. The Buddha himself entered jhana as described in the early texts during his own quest of enlightenment, and is constantly seen in the sutta encouraging his disciples to develop jhana as a way of achieving awakening and liberation. One key innovative teaching of the Buddha was that meditative absorption, jhana, must be combined with liberating cognition. As well, just before the passing of the Buddha entered the jhana in the direct and reverse order, and the passing away itself took place after rising from the fourth jhana. The Buddha's instruction on attaining jhana are via mindfulness of breathing, found in the Anapanasati Sutta.
Okay, I think the answer is clear to Brother Kanna. So now we move on to the next question. Brother Peck, is there anybody waiting?
Yes, we'd like to invite Phyllis Wong, sister or Brother Phyllis Wong? Should be Sister Phyllis Wong.
Venerable, I would like to know, like, how do we remove the non-dual concept in our mind, which causes us so much trouble, problems?
Sister Phyllis, are you posting this question to somebody specifically?
Dapo Rinpoche.
Rinpoche, once again.
The non-dual mind.
Actually, hello.
Yes.
Okay, so the as you said, right, as you mentioned that the non-duality creates lots of trouble in our life. Actually, I don't agree with that, trust me, because of the non-duality we are living, because of the non-duality we are being able to breathe and do everything. I don't think it is a trouble, but it can be a trouble if you want to achieve enlightenment. For that, it is a big trouble.
Yes.
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 So so how do we remove the non-duality, right? Yeah, then first we have to start from the beginning, for how to say, there's a 5 path, we call it Choklam, Jorlam. I don't know how to say all those in how to say in English, but as we say, we need to practice for Mahayana. You need to how to say spend 3 countless eons to achieve enlightenment. But I really, to be honest, right, I can't really say, oh, do this and you will be able to remove all those non-duality. We need to take a baby step for every especially for removing non-duality. We need to take a baby step. There is no such a solution that I can offer to you and provide you with, instant, how to say, a productive solution. I don't think we have any. Yeah, but as I say earlier, we need to at least once a day maybe think about everything is non-duality. As I have been always saying that, fake it until you make it. Even though right now when we say about non-dual, it doesn't make much sense to us, but we can wish, we can think about it, we can meditate, open it, and there will be a moment when this the concept of non-duality or view of non-duality become very normal to you. At those moments, I hopefully can say that you will gradually be able to remove all those non-duality, but it will take time, as I said.
So in other words, we should start with meditation on emptiness first.
No.
No.
I mean, it depends, right? It depends, especially what kind of Buddhist practitioner you are. Are you a beginner or advanced, right? And so for me, I would always advise people, all of them, to start from the beginning. Take those basic stuff. The thing that Buddhist practitioners are lacking right now is not those big stuff, like wisdom, emptiness, non-duality. No, these things we are not lacking. Right now, what we are lacking is the basic stuff, the compassion. Why, especially those mind of renunciation. Why we don't want to live in the samsara? I mean, it's not living the samsara. Why do we want to, achieve enlightenment? Why? There has to be a, solid reason or inspiration for you to practice, which has to be a renunciation mind. So most of the Buddhist practitioner, even let's say I've been studying for a very long time, but I'm still lacking of those fundamental basic practices for compassion, love, renounce. I'm lacking of all of those things, right? If you really want to target those non-duality practices, the most important thing, all those preliminary practices, you need to start. Make sure you take it very seriously. People really undervalue those practices, but no, this is just one of their biggest misunderstanding. Always start from beginning. Make sure you have a very
strong foundation.
Good, strong foundation. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have come to the end of the session. So we thank everybody who took part in this session, all the presenters and discussants, and all the participants who raised some interesting questions to enhance their knowledge on this special topic. So we are planning more and more sessions like this in future. So this is not the last one. So everybody can join in, and also and we have enlightened I mean now than 1 hour ago, because now we have like more knowledge after listening to these presenters and the explanations of these teachers. So we want to get more and more enlightened in this aspect. So thank you very much, everybody, and we hope you enjoyed the session, and we pay respect to the venerables, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, and also all the scholars and participants of this session. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
So we have come to the end of our session, technical session 1-2. See you tomorrow, same time at 9:30 in the morning for technical session 2.